It's part of you now. Okay, I'm sorry, that was cheesy. Yeah, I had you for a sec. You thought I had that demon, didn't you? Probably not. I'm just being stupid, but whatever. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Animation Station, your most for anything and everything animation, including TV and movies as well. I'm your host, Jonathan Small. Welcome back to our little horror marathon. Return of 31 Days of Horror. This is, of course, the third marathon we've done of this, and now it's time to step away from the classic stuff and go to something a little more modern, because we have some movies to talk about today. Movies that came out recently, as in one came out 2 years ago and one came out literally just last week. And it is finally time for me to give my 2 cents on it, without, of course, going into spoilers. I keep it spoiler-free, that way you guys can go see these for yourself. So let's talk about that one horror film that took everyone by surprise when it came out, Smile. This is a film that a lot of people, when it was initially announced, people had no faith in it. They thought it was going to be just, your usual, typical, standard Blumhouse garbage. But no, it actually turned out to be a pretty surprising film for many, and it even became a financial success, enough to get a sequel, which we'll talk about next time. And, little spoiler alert, the sequel is not a piece of shit, which, thank you. And unfortunately, I did not see it back then because I was overwhelmed with other things. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's one of those reviews that I should have done when it came out, because it was when I started doing actual reviews professionally. But for whatever reason, and, life shit, I couldn't review it when it came out initially, nor did it make my surprising list or best list for 2022. It probably wouldn't have made my best list for 2022 anyway, but it definitely would have been on my most surprising list had I seen it back then. But now, 2 years later, with the sequel out, I decided that now's the time to give this movie a watch. Let's see how it really is and see if it was worth all the extra hype. And I gotta say it was. This is a really, really good horror film. Now, I can't call it great, it has some problems, but overall, I was overall satisfied with this experience, and giving it a first-time watch made it even better, because it was when the hype died down and I could finally just watch it as a movie rather than going in with an expectation. And yeah, it surprised me as much as it surprised everyone else, because this is a pretty brutal, gruesome, gory, and all-around really good horror film. I can't call it great, but I can call it really good. Why? Well, let me tell you all about it in my written review. It's one of my shorter ones, because this movie's pretty self-explanatory, with the exception of spoilers, which I'm not going to get into because I do not want to spoil the experience for anybody. Here's my review. I hope you enjoy. One of the biggest surprise hits of 2022 that I didn't review when it initially came out due to being absolutely swamped with other releases, and again, life shit. But with the sequel out now, I've decided to finally give it a shot, and I gotta say that it's actually quite good. Probably would have been on my most surprising list had I seen it back then. Probably about I'll probably say like number 6 or number 5. It would be on that list. Pros: phenomenal acting, great scares, amazing practical effects, especially towards the end. Those who have seen it, you know why. Good storytelling, unrelentingly depressing atmosphere, solid runtime, and a surprise amount of realism. This movie deals with some heavy shit, and I mean that in the best way possible, because it's effective, and it makes you feel exactly like the character. Alone, hopeless, and terrified out of your mind. That being said, though, this movie's not perfect. It has some problems. The pacing is a little messy, the second half is really disjointed, a few scares don't land, which is expected in a Blumhouse movie, but trust me, this one has more good scares than it has bad scares. This isn't a shitty jump scare fest. Night swim. Sorry. And rewatchability is middling. I can't say I'd really watch it again, but I'm glad that I saw it. Overall, it's a pretty solid horror film, just maybe overpraised a small bit by most people. However, if you are one of the people that love it, continue to love it, and I can understand why you love it, I just thought the overpraise was a bit much. It's worth a watch, especially during the spooky Halloween season, and again, spoiler alert, the sequel is even better, so watching this back-to-back with the original, yeah, makes it even better, honestly. So, let's go ahead and get down to my final verdict for Smile, that way I can move on and tell you all about the sequel. That, again, thankfully, is not a piece of shit. So, my final verdict for Smile is going to be a solid 7 out of 10. If the second half wasn't so disjointed, I'm pretty sure I would bump it up to an 8, but the second half feels disjointed and a little bit disconnected from the rest of the movie. But still really damn good, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. Check it out if you haven't already. It is definitely worth watching, and it is perfect for the October Halloween spooky season. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, oh, it did get better. With Smile 2. Yes, another 2024 sequel that's not a piece of shit. I am super excited to talk about it, so I'm going to finish up this review by saying this. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. You know, do the usual algorithmic garbage to help the channel grow. And I'll see you in the next review when we review Smile 2.